I'm at Wheaton College. I'm in the middle of my orientation for summer camp, and kiddos get here on Sunday. And I'm working. I go to breakfast at 8, and I'm basically working until today until 9:15. Um,
Long time.
some days longer. And once the kiddos get here, I'll be working from 7 until like 10:30 on days when I'm on, with a 2-hour break of off time that includes me feeding myself. So it's a lot.
Break.
I'm
But
overwhelmed.
I mean, that's so much work.
It's so much work, and I'm prepping for my classes right now, which is a lot of work. And that's where we're at the moment.
Nice.
Cool. It kept all my recording settings, so that's really lit. I'm gonna be tired all the time for the rest of eternity. But that's the way it is.
Yeah, that's how I feel working at school, but my hours are nowhere near that. But I'm still exhausted and I feel super busy and dead all the time. But I don't know if it's the kids or it's me or what.
Where's Max?
What's up? I'm in dark mode. Yeah.
I'm pleased because I brought my plants with me to camp, so I have more beings to take care of. This plant has been around for a while, and it's grown,
Wow,
and she's pretty cute.
it looks like a happy plant.
Yeah, I think she's pretty cute. Here's one of my other plants.
Oh, an elephant plant. Is that what they're called? Or like jade? I don't know.
I don't know what any of my plants are. 2 of them were just given to me by someone who doesn't want to take care of them. This one has some dead leaves I have to get rid of. But these are my plants. They're cuties. I hope they survive. These are my thoughts.
All right.
Well,
Do you want to get started then, Sinclaire?
sure.
I don't know what you're doing today.
Yeah, it's a surprise. I had a dream that we picked the same thing, and it was different. So we'll see.
That's hilarious.
If that happened, well, I was actually thinking about that today, and I was like, oh, actually, I have two things related to this. But I was thinking about that today, and I was like, no, that wouldn't happen, because I was like, my topic is not what she's gonna pick. Like, I'd be shocked if you happen to pick this niche thing. Because I went to a creative madness thing with Hillary Thomas at Lineage with Kyla, and it was so fun. And Bellamy was there, and
Damn.
it was so fun. And Austin, who I don't think you guys know, but he's very cool, and he went to prep too. We made little short films, and we dressed up in silly costumes like children, and then we made like 30-second short films, and I felt like a child again, and it was really fun.
Mhm.
But also, I was like, if we did pick the same thing, we could also just talk about it, because who knows if we got the same sources or whatever. So
Absolutely. You usually have more interesting sources than I do.
I don't think that's true. What's your choice?
Okay. I'm talking about Yayoi Kusama because I think she's cool. And we're gonna go over here. This is her. She's cool.
Oh, do I know who this is?
You do. You totally do.
Is this the ball one?
Yeah.
I thought so.
So this is her. She was born in 1929. She's still living, and she makes art still, and she's very cool. And she's Japanese, but she's worked a lot internationally. Her primary media are sculpture and installation, but she also has done, especially a lot of her early work is more performance based. And she also has like films and paintings and fashion design, like what she's wearing in this picture, and lots of different sort of media for her designs. In her, what's that?
Is this a self-portrait?
I don't think so. I think this is just like a promotional photograph of her.
It's a cool photo.
It is a cool photo. I don't
Oh,
remember
do
what else
you
is on
want to
this
describe it
photo.
for people?
What?
Do you want to describe it for people that are listening?
Sure. Yeah. So this is a photograph of the artist. She's wearing like, she's like against a backdrop that is very like geometric, and there's a lot of yellow and red and white and black and like lots of dots. And the form directly behind her, I recognize as looking like a lot of her pumpkins. She has a lot of pumpkins that look like this with sort of like different sizes of dots that create like the ridges of like a gourd shape. And the artist is in the middle of this photograph wearing a blouse that like mimics that design, staring straight at the camera, very like deadpan, and she's in one of her like quintessential like colorful bobbed wigs, so it's like bright orange. She's like a very colorful artist in all the ways, and this is like very much her like design style, like lots of dots, lots of geometry, lots of like encompassing the whole space. Like a big part of her style is like these pumpkin shapes. So this is like just me looking up Yayoi Kusama pumpkin, and she has like tons of these. Some of them are infinity rooms. So like these ones over here are, it's like a room that's mirrored on all the walls. This is like what was at the Broad, which I'm about to talk about, but that might be where you know it from.
Is that also her or a different artist?
Yes, this is her.
Oh,
the infinity rooms are her. Yeah. So some of this is like she'll fill a room with these pumpkins and then like, or like lots of other things, and then put mirrors on all the walls, and then they like go on forever. But she also has a lot of like large scale installation sculptural pieces that are pumpkins.
Have you seen it, Max?
I think I've heard of this. I don't know.
Yeah, you probably saw them on Instagram when we were like seniors in high school or juniors in high school.
Oh yeah, did we go on a field trip or did we just go?
I think they're just around. They look like these.
Yeah.
These are what I'm gonna talk about, but
yeah,
we're also gonna talk about her earlier stuff. So in her like influences, she's very open about like her sort of psychological space. Like she had some like traumatic childhood incidents that sort of predisposed her to have a lot of like, she has a lot of sexual content in her art. In her, especially her earlier things, there are a lot of sort of like phallic shapes. This is a sculptural piece of hers from the 60s. It's a chair that's covered in these like white cloth, like sewn phalluses. That's what she calls them. And it's like very clearly like a sexual piece. And she has a lot of things like this. Like there were infinity rooms in that road exhibit that were like the floor was covered in these, or like she would cover like objects in them. So like that sort of like sexual content is very common in her work. And she also apparently has had for a long time these like hallucinations of basically just like fields of dots that sort of like encompass everything. And she uses the word obliterate a lot, and like self-obliteration by these like fields of dots. And that is like very apparent in a lot of her work with dots, which are like a big theme in her style. This is me looking up Yayoi Kusama dots on Google, and like the results that came up. She does a lot of like installation work and painting and sculptural work that's just sort of like dots in a whole space. And she like describes this as being like visual representation of like what she sees in her hallucinations and like what those feel like, which is kind of
interesting. That must be terrifying.
Yeah.
Be very scary.
Yeah. I have a quote from her about polka dots, which is, quote, "A polka dot has the form of the sun, which is the symbol of the energy of the whole world and our living life, and also the form of the moon, which is calm. Round, soft, colorful, senseless, and unknowing. Polka dots become movement. Polka dots are a way to infinity, end quote.
Ball is life.
So basically, ball is life. And so that sort of like transitions us into these like later installation works, which she's done a lot of, these infinity rooms that are basically like, it's a room that all four walls and the ceiling are mirrors, so that you get the sort of effect, if you've ever like stood in a bathroom with mirrors on both walls, that the mirrors sort of make the space go on infinitely because they're bouncing off of one another. But you get this on this really large scale, and the floor is like black and really reflective too. So like if you're standing in this room, you see yourself going on forever, but she also puts like, she does a lot of them with lights. One of the ones up here is with pumpkins, like these ones are infinity rooms. And so it looks like the space, the dots, whatever's on the floor is like going on forever. And I think that like that sort of concept of like,
Oh, I've seen this one. I've seen pictures of this
Yeah.
one. Sorry.
This sort of like concept of infinities and like all encompassing dots or objects or whatever seems like very tied into her influences and her hallucinations, and like a theme in her work. Yes, Kendal.
Is there water in there?
There is not water in there. I think it's just a really reflective floor.
Okay, I don't know why I thought there was water, but
I think there's like a platform that you're supposed to stand on.
yeah.
And then they like the rest of the floor is like a little bit lower than that, if I remember correctly. Yeah. If anyone who listens to this, which is probably most of you, is from Los Angeles, there was an exhibit of these and a lot of her other things at the Broad, but these were a lot of what people recognized about it because they were all over Instagram for like a good 2 years because they're very beautiful. And one of the sources I read was like talking about how their sort of like Instagrammableness became sort of like a part of the piece, that like people were like sharing it, and like a lot of her work is sort of about performance and about interacting with the work, and that sort of like became a part of the art, which is kind of like people's interaction with it as something like really beautiful, but also kind of like scary and, I don't know, overwhelming maybe. I read that she's been making these like infinity rooms with different things since the 60s, which was sort of like a transition point in her career, I would say. I think that a lot of her like early 60s, 70s things is like more along these lines and like performance work. And it was like really scandalous, as one can imagine, that like a woman would make something so like overtly sexual in nature, which is interesting. I also read about like a specific performance piece she did where she was like in New York City, like walking around, sort of calling out, like acting, playing up, exaggerating stereotypes about Asian women, and sort of like calling out stereotyping about Asians, especially in like a place that is like a supposed melting pot. So a lot of her work also has more like political or social or like cultural messages. And a lot of her like really early stuff is like naked people in interesting places, or like a lot of that sort of like classic early performance art, which is kind of fun too. This was more about her than any of the art, I suppose. That's cool too. And these also have really interesting titles, which I think is cool because they're all like very similar, but they all have like this one is called Aftermath of Obliteration of Eternity, which again is like a lot of her buzzwords. Yeah, like they're, I don't know, they're super cool. It's not letting me jump around anymore. Sad.
What is that sound?
That was Google Slides not wanting me to change slide.
That's such a weird sound.
No.
It said no. Yeah, this one is called Infinity Mirrored Room, the souls of millions of light years away.
We all know that one.
But I think they're really beautiful and cool. I kind of want to see if I can find more. Let's look up.
Yeah, I want to see the news. Look.
Maybe this is kind of stupid, but I never like actually thought about like who invented infinity rooms. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you kind of just think about them like you see one, you're like, oh, cool. But, you know, I don't know. Obviously, like I didn't put together like someone invented these at some point.
This is one with pumpkins. It's cool because they're also like this view. You can see them on the ceiling. Kind of fun. I don't even know what's happening.
I agree though, Max. I think it's almost reminds me of Warhol in that it's like almost so commercialized, and I'm sure this brought a lot of business to the Broad.
Yeah.
It becomes so commercialized that it seems like just an Instagram commercial, like photo op.
Yeah. And I think like when something becomes so commercialized, like you're not thinking critically about like where does it come from? Like where
She also does these like smaller scale ones where you like stick your head in the box and look at like
I like that
the
one.
inside, which is kind of
Yeah,
fun.
that's the one I want to try the most.
Guillotine simulation.
This is her.
Well,
It's
this
kind of scary.
yeah, so that's the marble like ball ones is like what the AP art history work. At least we had to do it when we took it.
Did we?
Yeah, it was like a pond with those balls in it.
Oh, the Narcissus pond.
Yeah.
This is another one. I don't know if you can really tell, but these are all phalluses too. I think there was one like this at the Broad. She also has like some installation things like this that are like shapes with dots in a room that you can like walk around.
Loki like tentacle porn.
Yeah. Yeah. I will pull up the Narcissus. It's like a big pond with, yeah, you're totally right. If there's a Khan Academy.
There's a Khan Academy, I bet you.
Yeah. It's like this. Yeah.
Oh, that's artsy. That's been my favorite source.
Your favorite source. Yeah. With these balls. Yeah. But she did a ton of like performing with her work.
Yeah.
Especially when she was younger.
Those are so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I wanted to do. I chose something easy for myself. But I think she's very cool. Yeah. If you ever have a chance to go see.
Oh yeah, I just saw a YouTuber. Like one of those pictures was a YouTuber with the balls behind them.
I wonder, has she like made comments about like how they've been perceived as like very commercial? Because obviously like they're beautiful works in their own right. But I wonder what she thinks about seeing like influencers be like, oh, I went to the Infinity Room today. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's interesting. I don't know.
Tell us next week, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe I will.
Follow up.
I'm just looking at the headline of this article. One infinity is not enough. Broad Museum honors second year Kusama Infinity Mirror Room. But I remember like when these were at the Broad, the lines were like so long.
It was crazy. Everyone
like
knew
separate
it
tickets for
went.
this, and you had to like book them really far in advance.
Yeah.
It was a lot. Hope she's doing well for herself. I think for a while too, I read something that said that like when she was first creating stuff, especially these, like a lot of male artists were like doing them and getting money for them, and then she like was not getting the recognition, which is a classic thing. Yeah. So I hope that like her success now is like coming back to her and like making that worth it in whatever way it can be. Yeah. That's what I have for you.
Wow. I don't think about these that often, but I love these works. They're so cool.
I think they're really
cool. Wait, what's the one with the table? Scroll up a little bit.
You remember at the Broad when you go, the last thing, they give you like stickers, and there's just like a white room, and then you put the stickers on the walls and like on the furniture and stuff. I think this is one of those. So it's like,
I don't think I did.
One at the Broad was like the like museum goers like created the room because you like got stickers when you walked in, and then you just like put them on things, and they look like this, which which is
Yeah,
kind
it does look like explosions too. Like I'm seeing her like obliteration, but also photo ops.
yeah. But like photo ops and humans in the art, like the infinity rooms are like seeing yourself in the art too, which is kind of cool. And like creating the art.
I also think like the Narcissus one is kind of funny because like knowing like that these works have become so known because people are like, I can post myself in it.
Yeah.
Like seeing the Narcissus one where she's kind of like, I don't know if that's her inspiration, but it's interesting to see where it's like poking fun at like what the audience has done
Yeah.
to the reception of the pieces.
It's really interesting.
Very meta.
Very meta.
Yeah, she should just keep going deeper.
Yeah,
More layers.
I bet she will. How old is she?
She was born in 1929, so she is almost 100. She's like 95.
Wow.
That's not true. She's like 93. I can't do math today. I think she's 93 or 94.
She's 300 years old. That's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah,
Wow.
she's in her 90s. She's killing it. I think she's gonna like talk to people and stuff. I don't know. This is pretty cool. I would recommend.
Yeah.
That's what I have for you.
So these are still at the Broad too, right?
Are they really?
I'm asking. I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
It could be.
Maybe we'll.
What is the Broad?
That's a proposal. Look at that.
The Broad is a weird
What
museum.
is the Broad?
The Broad is a museum of
No, but
modern
what-
art in downtown Los Angeles
What
for
is
all
the
of our
Broad?
viewers at home.
Has anybody ever made a museum and not named it after themselves?
MoMA?
Owners, but yeah,
like with like a single person. Has any single person
Probably
who
not.
has like owned a collection made a museum and not named it after themselves?
I doubt it because I think art collecting is also like a narcissistic thing where it's, at the end of this, I will create this with all of my wealth and I must show it off eventually, obviously.
That's why I call it the Broad.
The Broad.
Item.
I like its weird outside design. My favorite part about the Broad is the things in the sidewalk outside. The like the bra. The like grass, the things that are like turf.
The lumps.
Sidewalk outside.
I love the lumps.
The lumps.
I'm turning it over now. I'm gonna stop scrolling through
You don't
these.
even need tickets for those.
I know, I could look at those forever.
I know. I'm having a good time. Cool.
Okay, so I have something totally different. I am going to talk about Satan. And
Happy for you.
yeah.
Didn't we talk about?
We talked about lots of things on this.
When did we talk about Satan recently?
We talked about Satanism and the Satanic Panic and pentagrams.
I think you and I were talking, and you're like, "Why is Satan red?"
Yeah,
And
that's
I'm
what,
like,
what
okay,
this is what I was
okay. Sure, foreshadowing.
Max is scorpion.
Guys, spoiler alert.
I told you I was doing it, but I guess you just remember what I said and not why I was
But I didn't put it together.
Yeah. But yeah, I was listening to another podcast called Beach Too Sandy, Water Too Wet, which I'm a big fan of. And it's these siblings and they just read like different reviews from like Yelp, TripAdvisor. I listened to one today about, it's called Dick's Last Resort. And I think it's a like Midwest thing and all the waiters just treat people like shit. Like that's the whole shtick. And they give you hats and they write mean things on the hats. And so lots of reviews about that. But anyway, they also have an episode about Lil Nas's, I think, most recent single, Montero, also known as Call Me By Your Name, which caused quite a stir with the folks as well. which was really funny to watch that play out in modern day, because I've heard about lots of satanic panics, but I saw it happen on Twitter and it was really funny. So I guess I can share my screen.
I guess.
Okay, so this is the like kind of work tools, but I'm going to be talking like a lot about just Satan depictions in general. In Lil Nas's video, he's gay and he's a black man, and that causes a lot of controversy with lots of people. A lot of them have told him to go to hell. And so in this music video, he actually goes to hell. You should watch it if you haven't seen it, because it's just so good. Like, just watch
And
it.
it's catchy.
And it's a really good
It's
song.
a good song.
And the imagery is so cool, and like you could watch it over and over and over again.
Or
like
a psalm.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Like,
It's not a psalm. It's a song.
But he was told to go to hell like all the time, and so in the music video he does a lap dance on Satan. He like rides a huge like stripper pole all the way to hell, and Satan in that music video is red, like, and it's almost like tacky kind of makeup, like it looks very costumey, which they talked about a little bit and talked about how that's probably like intentional. I can't remember what their reason was. So he also has like the horns, and it's very like classic Satan depiction. He might have the like goatee or something. And so I was listening to that and I was like, how come Satan looks like that? Because I was like, I bet the Bible doesn't make him look like that.
Yeah, there's no cartoons in there.
No, there's no
I checked.
Though they do sell many illustrations.
Actually, I didn't check. I've never opened a Bible.
Wow.
Maybe you should one of these days, Max.
Yeah. The only time I've ever opened one was, at the hotel, and they have one.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's in here?
A lot of words. But I honestly would suggest it, like Christian or not, like most religious texts, ancient religious texts, are just hilarious. Because it's
whatever we're looking at right here is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so I'll tell you what we're looking at, and I guess I'll talk about it a bit because I did write some notes about it. So this is another illuminated manuscript. I've talked about a couple others, so I'll put like a card thing for the YouTube, whatever, maybe. This one is from the Smithfield Decretals. I don't know exactly how that's supposed to be pronounced, but a decretal is, where'd it go? Oh, a papal decree concerning a point of canon law. So sounds like a pretty broad definition, but I guess lots of these were also illuminated, so they would paint different things and then add gold, and that's what like illuminated the manuscript, is the images and the shiny. And this one is from France. I think it's from the Toulouse area in France, in the south of France, at the turn of the 14th century. And they said, like, I also found circa 1340. So 14th century, probably. And that's very medieval, which is the style of this. There's like, let's see. So you get words, there's lots of little borders with different kinds of like Gaelic knots, I think, and maybe not Gaelic, but that's the word that comes to mind for me. Decorative knots with borders, and then there are lots of like leaves attached to those borders, which also look kind of phallic.
There's no way those are not.
Yeah.
There's no way.
There's one.
Those are not PPs.
There's one.
Yeah, that's a leaf, but
nah, that's
buying it.
What are you talking about? Is that not what it look like?
But most of them are just little dicks attached in different colors.
They're kind of cute.
They are kind of cute.
Yeah, definitely not like aggressive, but they're definitely phalluses. And there's like some kind of beast creature standing on a tree, like maybe like a lion hybrid something. And the proportions are all wacky, which is very common for this time period. There's like a castle with what is this, Gothic architecture?
Sure.
Maybe. There's some details and like a pointed arch. So
Yeah.
maybe
Okay.
Gothic. Sure. There's some angels like pushing the devil, and he's got like stalks on his feet. So his feet are like look like they're inside a piece of wood. And then he's got like orangish red legs and a tail, kind of like bird-like claws. But he has, maybe it's a straight jacket or something. Like there's something brown on his chest. And then he has like a bat wing. That's all of him is kind of orangish colored, but maybe it was originally red. I don't know. But he has horns and he has like the kind of traditional goat face. And I will tell you why all of that is. So this is a copy of the Decretals of Pope Gregory the Ninth, and he ruled like in the century before, so the 13th century. And I guess there are 675 surviving manuscripts, like copies of this Decretal, so different versions, which is a
Wait,
lot.
so is this the first like
No.
documented? Oh,
I'm not sure. I tried to find that and I couldn't. But this is one of like the earliest one that I could find with the like
okay.
devil that looks like our like Halloween costume.
Okay.
And then there's just like a Virgin Mary and like a Pope or something, and that's the whole image. So this is a copy of the Decretals of Pope Gregory the Ninth. He ruled like in the century before, so the 13th century. And I guess there are 675 surviving manuscripts, like copies of this Decretal, so different versions. Okay, I'll tell you a little bit more history and then I'll get into all the symbolism. This information is from Marina Montesano, who's a professor of medieval history at University of Messina in Italy, or Messina, I don't know. And then Jan Michelson, I think, who's a professor, or no, a senior lecturer in early modern history at Cardiff University in the UK. And I got this from Live Science. So, yeah. They talked about lots of things, especially the symbolism, which I'll get into, but also from a Ranker article, I found out that Saint Sylvester, I don't know anything about him, but he reportedly slayed a devilish dragon, which like impressed priests. So that's some of the history. So there you go. These like animalistic and beast goat descriptions are really common in like late medieval art. Okay, now I'm gonna read you some Bible. So,
Finally.
yeah, this is my Bible. It's a big old book and it's got lots of annotations. And this is a pretty modern one. It's the Harper Collins Study Bible. And the translation is pretty updated, which is why I like it, because it's very easy to read and interesting. This is from Isaiah 14 to 15. And this is about Lucifer. It says, "How you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn." Ellipses. "But you are brought down to Sheol," which is what they would call the underworld, "to the depths of the pit," the underworld. "But you are cast out away from your grave like loathsome carrion," which means, I did not know this word. Do you know this word?
Heck yeah, I do.
Tell us what it is.
Well, carrion. So if you think of carrion, like vultures are carrion birds, which means that they eat like dead, rotting flesh, and carrion is like dead, rotting flesh.
Yes.
That's my definition for you.
That's exactly what it is. Decaying flesh of dead animals was what I found.
Proud of myself.
So yeah, so I guess he is like dead flesh, they're calling him. So that's what Isaiah says about Lucifer. And then there's a lot more in, not Obadiah, in the book of Revelation. And I don't know anything about where the book of Revelations comes from, but this definitely was later. This is like late New Testament, post Jesus. Christianity's been around for a little bit, and this is when these are kind of the first descriptions of this kind of depiction of Satan, and the most similar to our modern day depiction, I'd say. Okay, they have a lot. I might just pick out something. So before I start, I will present this theory to you that I kind of came up with / compiled. So I think my kind of theory is that basically the devil is just like the Antichrist. And so that kind of goes for everything about him and his symbolism. So he's a goat because, oh, there's a quote in Matthew, about on Judgment Day separating goats from sheep. So we've just got that dichotomy like right off the bat. So if we're looking at the Antichrist, we've got a goat. And one of the, wait, yes, but I want to go to this one. Okay, so this is from the 5th to 6th century, earlier than, right? Yeah, that's earlier than all this medieval stuff. So Max, this is an earlier depiction of Satan.
Cool.
But again, you don't see him in the same like stereotypical symbols and stuff. So he was actually blue, and we're looking at a mosaic from a basilica also, if you can't see. Can I delete my little circle? Okay, there's a purple circle, it's fine. Yeah, and it depicts the kingdom of God and the last judgment. So that's kind of that quote being depicted visually. And it's at the Basilica of Sant Apollinare in Ravenna, Italy. I tried. Max, there's some nice devil horns.
It's the earliest depiction.
Now it is. You're right. Maybe Max, you could time
I
travel.
found it.
Go time.
We should. We're talking about time travel again.
This is your answer.
Yeah,
Our
okay.
time traveling sister went back and created this depiction of Satan that we're now talking about here.
Yes.
Yeah, I was.
It's beautiful, but
Yeah.
he's blue, and this is just like a human angel looking guy, but he's blue. He is blue because at the time this was created, blue was actually seen as a more evil color than red, which I thought was interesting. And
That's
that
really interesting.
I have a whole section on just red. It's because Hebrews were like very afraid of water and like sea monsters, and like seas were the places that held evil things. So blue became the color of evil. So like the flood, etc. There's lots of biblical stuff about water. Oh yeah, so we've got also in the one I'm talking about, the work I chose, we have also bat wings, and that is probably because all of the angels have like bird-like feather wings, so bat wings are kind of the natural opposite of that. So it's actually a lot more logical than I ever thought. Like most of this stuff all kind of makes sense how it progressed. And then the horns and his whole goat thing is mostly from pagan gods, such as Pan, and lots of other ones, which I'll talk about in a minute. But let's read a little bit of Revelations now. Okay, so this is from Revelations 12 through like 15 or something. I'm not gonna read all of it. It says, then another portent appeared. I don't know what a portent is. Oh, it says it's a celestial phenomenon with deeper symbolic meaning. So a star, I guess. Another portent appeared in heaven, a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 diadems on his heads. So this is like the earliest, like, and he's red. That's the thing too, which it says here, but we'll talk about more later. So dragon was a designation for Satan, which is used 9 times in Revelation. And all of the numbers have different meaning, and it's all about like rulers or different kingdoms. Yeah, and then the next part of this is there's a Mary figure in this story. And this is like a really interesting depiction of Jesus. So there's a Mary story where she shows up like on a cloud or something, and she's giving birth, and she's in the agony of giving birth. And then we have this big red dragon that tries to like take Jesus from her. So you have this like battle instantly to like kill Jesus. And it's very like, I don't know, violent and cartoonish in my head, at least. Like I could see an anime about this, you know. Okay, or maybe like Veggie Tales or something would be fun. But okay, and then Michael defeats the dragon. So Michael's an angel. And it says Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, which this is the only time that there's like a fight and a rescue between like Satan and Jesus and stuff. And then he says there was no longer a place for them in heaven. The great dragon was thrown down, the ancient serpent, which goes back to Adam and Eve and the serpent there. And Satan is often a serpent. So the dragon thing kind of works because of that too. And he was called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth and his angels were thrown down with him. So those become all his demons with the little bat wings. But Satan's bat wings are always the biggest. They made that clear also. So you know what that means. Oh yeah, and then this is about the eagle wing. So it says the woman, which is Mary, was given the 2 wings of the great eagle so that she could fly from the serpent into the wilderness to her place where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time. I just enjoyed that. I wonder how much a half a time is, but time is a construct anyway, right? So that was also interesting because this also feels so like cartoonish and nonsensical to me. Like Mary just like has eagle wings all of a sudden, and then she just flies into the wilderness to nourish herself. Like,
I need some of that.
yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it is kind of like an escape thing, like she protects herself and she makes herself like omelets in the woods, that's what I'm thinking.
As one does.
Yeah. Oh, and she's able to fly now because of her wings. So it says, then from his mouth, the serpent poured water like a river. So we have the water thing after the woman to weep her away with the flood, which is very violent, but she was able to get away because she had wings. And then the dragon was angry with the woman and went off to make war on the rest of her children, those who keep the commandments of God and hold the testimony of Jesus. So yeah, lots of battle, lots of dichotomies. And then we have the 10 horns again. Oh, and then there are 2 beasts now that Satan kind of creates, I think. And the first one I will describe to you now. It says it was like a leopard. Its feet were like a bear's, and its mouth was like a lion's mouth. And the dragon gave it his power and his throne and great authority. One of its heads seemed to have received a death blow, but its mortal wound had been healed. In amazement, the whole earth followed the beast. They worshipped the dragon, for he had given his authority to the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like the beast, and who can fight against it? So everyone's worshiping Satan, dragon, and this leopard, lion, bear, beast, which maybe is what is in the center of my work here, the animal on the tree. I don't know, but it's possible. Okay. And then there's this whole marking thing. So Satan has everybody mark themselves with the mark of Babylon. And then I'll just read. Also, it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell who does not have the mark, that is, the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let anyone with understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a person. Its number is 666. So you got 666, which I had no idea was actually in the Bible. So I thought that was kind of cool. But there was also, while we're on this, I'll just tell you a little bit more about 666. So the number comes from Saint Irenaeus. This is all from Rancor, who was from Gaul in France, which is where this area was also. And he decided, that's what the article said too. It said he just decided that this was how it was now, that the beast from Revelations 13 was the Antichrist. And the number value of the name. So I guess if you do like numerals or like, I don't know, there's like number insight stuff that's like not really science that people do. But if you do that, it adds up to 666. And I just wrote how and I didn't find it. So I don't know. And I also found that apparently the number might refer to Nero, the Roman emperor. And it wasn't clear why, but that's a call to him and like bad rulers like him, who like I guess overtaxed and stuff, and probably were more evil than
like just like killed people. Like he was the worst.
Mhm.
Yeah, He's a fun one. He's like the one who supposedly fiddled while Rome burned. Like he made a golden palace for himself and like just like destroyed people's lives.
Yes. So he's the Antichrist now also. Okay. And then we have the Lamb. As a counter to this, God brings his whole, I guess, pantheon of angels and such, and they have his name and his father's name written on their foreheads. So, like, again, dichotomy. Now we have, I guess, maybe Amen or something written on their foreheads, the symbols for that, perhaps. Or it might be a pentagon. And a pentagon is a pentagon, like the right way is a religious symbol that's supposed to represent the 5 points where Jesus was on the cross. So like as kind of an altar to a crucifix. And then some Satanist guy who was also from France. And I don't know
You mean
why
a
all
pentagram?
Yes. What did I say?
Pentagon.
Oh my god. Okay. I'm sorry.
The Pentagon was in the Bible.
The Pentagon. No, the pentagram. I didn't even hear it. Yeah. Yes. So the pentagram comes from that, but then I guess it kind of fell off as like a religious symbol because the cross was just better. And so then it became adopted as a Satanist thing. And he flipped it upside down and he was like, ooh, now it's the Okay. Yeah, and then there's also all this stuff about like Satan being a deceiver and a liar. That's like very much a through line. And here it says when we're talking about the God and the angels and the lambs of God, it says in their mouth no lie was found. They are blameless. So you have these perfect beings that don't lie and they're just like somehow immaculate, and then Satan and his demons, and he's a liar and he's prideful and he's bad. Okay, and then it says the hour of judgment has come. Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great. She has made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. So also, I guess this might go back to the corrupt leaders thing also, but Babylon is used a lot. And I don't know a lot about this. Sinclaire, you're nodding. Do you know anything about that? No. Okay. Well, I think it goes back to this whole like Nero dictator kind of conversation. I think similar things were happening in Babylon, but I'm not 100% sure about that. And then it says, drink the wine of God's wrath, which also, like, all of his responses are also equally violent. Just, it's allowed because he's good and he's God. It says that the demons will be tormented with fire and sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, which is Jesus. And there's also an angel who has authority over fire. So fire is also a big theme. And is it that? No. Oh, let me just read you this before I tell you about fire, because this part's also wild. Oh, there's frog demons also coming from the mouth of the beast. So that exists too. Also, at the end, this is the last chapter in my Bible, at least the way it's laid out. And it says, then it's called the Great Whore and the Beast. Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and said to me, come, I will show you the judgment of the great whore who is seated on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and with the wine of whose fornication the inhabitants of the earth have become drunk. So he carried me away in the spirit into a wilderness. I think into the spirit, in the spirit means like apparating, like in Harry Potter, like just like teleporting, kind of like a ghost would, I guess. In the spirit into a wilderness. So we go back to a wilderness. And I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, scarlet, that was full of blasphemous names. So it's like spewing blasphemy, I guess, which is also bad. So maybe bad words and such. And it had 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was clothed in purple and scarlet and adorned with gold and jewels and pearls, holding in her hand a golden cup full of abominations, which also reminds me of like Pandora's box a little bit, and the impurities of her fornication. And on her forehead was written a name, a mystery, Babylon the Great, mother of whores and of earth's abominations. And I saw that the woman was drunk with the blood of the saints and the blood of the witnesses to Jesus. And that is the way my Bible ends.
Wow.
I feel like that's like a cliffhanger.
Right?
I'm waiting for
Where's the Bible
three
too?
after that.
Oh wait, no, I'm wrong. There's more. There's more. Do you want to find out what happens? I can keep. I kind of. Okay, let's be done. That's all my Bible reading, so that part is over if you skipped through that. So essentially, there's lots of wild depictions in the Bible, especially in Revelations, which is just a trip. And I would love to see it as an anime, honestly. So some talented soul out there, please make that. Okay, so I'll tell you about the specific body parts now. So horns possibly came from pagan gods, such as Pan, like I told you. He's like a satyr, yeah. So he's like half goat, half man, kind of, but it's mostly like he has like kind of a human chest and stands on two legs, but has like a goat torso and body and goat head. So if you've seen the Peter Jackson, what is it? Percy Jackson?
Percy Jackson? Yeah.
Is that the book with the Greek mythology?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that one. So if you've seen that, Grover is this
Yeah.
satyr.
Grover is a satyr. That's true. I remember that. That's stored in my brain somewhere.
Yeah. And the CGI goat is like definitely in my brain forever.
In Hercules, his Phil, the like trainer guy, is also a satyr. In Disney Hercules.
Yeah. So that was also common in Egyptian deities, specifically Hathor, who was cow-headed, so he also had horns. And then Baal, I don't know how to say that, which is from Moloch, had like a bull. Oh, which is a Canaanite god. Yeah, and then Pan also typically has the clove feet and the pointed ears and a goatee. So that's probably where the goatee comes from, is his little goat beard. I showed you the mosaic, and there we have, let's go back to it. There we have the sheep and the goats. So that's one of the ways that people think that this continued with the goat theme. Also, it's possibly about Nordic myths, and someone else thought it was about neo-pagan revivals of modern, not medieval times. I don't know what that means. And in this other book, someone talked about devils' associations with underworld pagan fertility goddesses who Christians rejected as demons, which also I was like, how bad do you have to be for Christians to reject you as demons? I was like, how does that work? And where's the line? That's what I wanted to know. But that was a very vague sentence. And this is from Jeffrey Burton Russell in his book about the devil and that imagery. And talked about how they were feared because of association with wilderness and sexual frenzy. And also just the fact that the horns are never mentioned in the Bible at all. So that completely probably came from pagan things. The red, we talked about the dragon. Okay, also the fire of hell and how that idea probably started was because of Gehenna. I don't know how to say that, but this is what it told me on The Compass, which is a Catholic news site online, which was hilarious, by the way. And there are pictures of different like priests and stuff, and they're like, talk to Father.
For some reason, Catholic and online is hilarious to me. I don't know why.
It was just great. And it described this as the garbage area in the Valley of Hinnom, which is south of Jerusalem. So just the garbage valley, basically, which was perpetually on fire because they were burning all the garbage. So it burned constantly. And there's another quote from Jesus about that in Matthew, I think, too. Okay, and then the wings, the compass, it also told me that it's a medieval edition, the bat wings. That makes sense for the, it's a beard now, for the other one. In Dante's Inferno in the 14th century, and I didn't really go much later than that because then I was like, there's just too many. But in Dante's Inferno, he specifically talked about the bat wings a lot. And then same in Paradise Lost. I guess I also have something about Lilith, who's another demon that maybe got some next
Just drawing on the pictures.
Sorry.
No, I don't
It's a
care.
long day.
I enjoy it. It's a nice element. Make people go on YouTube.
Yeah, draw their gazes, man.
Yeah, who knows what Max is doing right now?
Yeah,
Listen to it
Oh,
twice.
not I.
And so Lilith comes from ancient Babylonian Lilith demons, which were winged females who flew through the night, seducing men and attacking pregnant women and children. And I'd love to learn more about that because that sounds fascinating. But I guess that's also another fun pagan god. Oh, I guess Dante also uses some Roman vocabulary. So that goes back to the like, we hate pagans thing, which is really the agenda that Christians are pushing right now. And then lastly, I have the pitchfork, which I don't think I don't think that's in the Smithfield or whatever it's called, Depictal. Why can't I talk now? What were the words that I said? The Smithfield Decretals. It's such a weird word. Okay. So the pitchfork comes from, oh, and this is also from the Catholic news site, The Compass. The pitchfork comes from Poseidon because pagans. That's just another like pagan versus Christianity thing. And you have also the sea as a place of monsters, which I talked about. Oh, and that specifically comes from the Book of Job. On top of that, you have Shiva the Destroyer from Hinduism, which is the only time any religion besides paganism or Christianity, or I guess there was Canaanite gods. This was the only one that was outside of that came up in my research. And Shiva also like churns this, what is it, the sea of milk or whatever? Yeah, that's a great work. We should definitely talk about that one. But yeah, that's all I have about the depiction of Satan. And I have some more just different photos for you if you're curious. But if you have questions, you can ask them now too. So I'm sorry, Max, but it's changing.
Oh no.
So I'm showing now the detailed view of Jan van Eyck, who we should also cover, and his The Last Judgment, which is from circa 1440 to 1441. And the photo is via Wikimedia Commons. And it's basically a skeleton with big ass bat wings, and under his bone legs are just lots of people getting eaten and destroyed by various monsters. Yeah,
Seems fun.
it does. They look like they're having a whole.
This one's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just eating his butt.
Yeah.
And the top face is really spooky.
This one's kind of, oh shit.
Maybe being inserted with a tentacle? Fun parallel there.
God.
Being munched.
Oh my god. Let's just circle the whole thing.
It's just circling fun things, but it's all.
Let's just circle the whole thing.
Okay. And then the next one is also The Last Judgment, and this is from Giotto.
Giotto.
From circa 1307. And you have a big, also blue Satan who's just, it seems like he's just grabbing humans left and right and like throwing them into his mouth with various other monsters eating. And then there's just heaven, but that's just boring. And then I included Hieronymus Bosch's The Garden of Earthly Delights because there's also hell depicted here. Really spooky. There's too much going on for me to tell you what's happening there. So go to YouTube. Peter Bruegel, who did often like snowy, beautiful paintings. And this one is super dark and it's called, do you know what that means, Sinclaire? Is that German?
No.
Oh, okay. It's Dul Greet, something like that. Also known as Mad Meg, which I have no idea if that's referring to the central lady, but there's a lady holding something and running, and she has armor and a knife. And there's lots of fire. It looks very Hieronymus Bosch, I think. Not at all what I'd picture from this artist. And then this one is more modern. This is 1841. It's called Pandemonium with John Martin is the artist. And I included this because he literally is dressed like a Roman ruler. And he's just like holding his arms up in victory and also holding a shield and a spear like over this sea of lava. And then there's a big architecturally complex building.
It also looks pretty Roman in nature. Like it has lots of like colonnades and stuff.
And then I think this is the last one. This is from 2008 and it's called Fucking Hell. And it's all little like army men.
Is this a miniature?
Yeah.
That's really funny.
I know this artist was cool. I didn't know, I've never seen this before, but maybe I'll look up this guy because this seems interesting.
This is me.
Yeah. It's and there's one guy painting the whole thing. So you got a cliff, there's some skeleton guys with like a lot of them have army helmets, like the little skull caps, which I guess works too. They're all on top of this grassy hill, and then below them is just kind of a sea of people. Like it looks like World War Z.
And like a pit.
Yeah. Yeah, and a pit, which is a good point. And there's like trash cans and tires and branches and things.
Not many good pits.
No, not many. Silence of the
Ball pit.
Oh,
ball pit.
but that's
foam pit. Foam pit.
yeah.
Well, foam pit's not great. It's kind of unsanitary.
It's all very unsanitary.
It's all unsanitary.
I mean,
Any kind of pit.
Pretty freaking unsanitary.
You can't really clean a pit.
No, I think that's the point of a pit.
I guess a pool is kind of a pit.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, this is by Jake and Dinos Chapman. So definitely look up this artist because he seems really interesting. But yeah, that's all I have for you. I guess I have a bibliography I should show. But yeah.
Go Kendal.
Research.bowdoin.edu.
Oh yeah, I was gonna tell you.
What?
I forgot. Which one is it? Oh, this one. How did I skip this? I totally forgot. Oh, I didn't mean to start. Also, when I was typing out the title for my Google Doc, I wrote like the Enya, Satan Enya, and I wrote Satan like lowercase, and then I was like, wait, I don't want Satan to get mad, so then I capitalized. Just so you know. Okay, so this painting that I'm showing now is called Lucifer. It's by Jackson Pollock, and it's a portrait, which is not common for Jackson Pollock. And it might still be at the Contour Museum at Bowdoin, which is where Sinclaire goes to school. Yeah, they had a whole exhibit called Sympathy with the Devil, as in the Rolling Stones song. They had like depictions of Satan through the ages, and it looked really cool. And I just stumbled across it. So I was like, I gotta include it for Sinclaire. So
You got it.
yes. This doesn't have a date on it, but he was 20th century. Oh yeah, that was a lot. I was researching for a while too, and there's only like more and more and more.
I'm impressed. I do not have that kind of time right now.
Yeah, I just
Proud of you.
luckily my work hours are just like 8 to 12 officially, and then I usually just stay and work for my mom because I feel bad for taking her money for my whole life. So then but stopped, and then I was like, I'm just gonna take notes forever. And it was very fun. It's so fun. I love just doing
Oh shit. Oh shit, it's Max. He's doing something.
Whoa.
Not that much because I'm not doing that much because it's been a long day.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But
I need to shower and go to sleep. But
yeah.
I'm happy.
This is really honestly just an update. This is a news thing.
We have news.
You guys know Cheech Marin from Cheech and Chong?
Hell yeah, I do.
Well, he has a very big collection of Chicano art.
Wait, Andrew, love this. Oh my god. Is it in LA? It's in Riverside.
Okay, let me speak.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
He is opening a museum for Chicano art, as you can see, in Riverside sometime this year. It's I'm not sure of the exact date. It's opening sometime this year. It was originally one of the Riverside public libraries. It went up for sale. I think he bought it himself with like approval from the city. So yeah, he's making a Chicano art museum in Riverside, which is pretty cool. It's called the Cheech, as you can see, which I think is kind of yep,
named
yep.
after people.
But you know, I'll give him a pass.
But also his signature looks really cool.
Yeah.
Like the
Well, I think also even if it weren't his name, like the Cheech is just a good, like that's like a good museum name.
remember, easy to talk about. Yeah.
And I think it's kind of part of the Riverside Art Museum. So yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna scroll through the website a bit. I like it. Seems like there's gonna be a good mix of his collection. You know, the permanent exhibition space looks like it's gonna be his collection. His collection has been featured in a lot of museums like LACMA, the Broad, you know, just like a lot of very prominent museums. So they're going to also have like a space for artists in residence, temporary exhibition space, and I think also some spaces for like classes for children. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, education class space. So yeah, it seems like it'll be good. I would gladly make the trip out there. Go see what it's about. If you want to look it up, just look at the Cheech Center. Also, there's a separate website for his collection. There's not much about what's in there right now, I assume, because it doesn't exist yet fully. He has, if you just go to cheechmarin.com, you can look up different things that are part of his collection and former exhibitions. One I thought I would just kind of mention is this exhibition called Papal Chicano. It's all illustrative works on paper. A lot of art that has typically like been seen as like lesser because it's not in like the mediums that Western art is traditionally made in. There's not much here because we're not getting to see the full exhibition. But yeah, this exhibition is something you can buy if you want. Like you can buy a book that shows each of the works in this exhibition.
This is so cool though. I'm so excited to go.
Yeah.
And we'll have to give an update for the podcast once we actually get to go.
Yeah, here's the hardcover. It's pretty expensive, but you know, it's our book.
Probably going to La Mano.
Yeah.
It's going to a good cause. It's not like
yeah, no, no qualms with it being what it is. Yeah, that's just my little thing for the week. I kept running into this online and I was like, well, it does seem cool. I was like, I can't really find much info on it because it doesn't exist yet, but I thought it would be my thing for the week. And yeah.
Well, I'm so excited about this. Great. Thank you for bringing this to the table and to my attention. I'm so excited. I'm excited to tell Andrew too, because I know he's gonna like freak out.
Yeah. I think I've only seen like parts of the Cheech and Chong saga.
I don't remember a whole lot of it, but it was
really, it was kind of before our time.
Oh yeah, it's one of the oldest stoner movies that exists.
Yeah. But you know, I'm glad to know that Cheech has a prolific art collection.
Yeah, I had no idea he was still like around doing cool stuff.
Yeah. If you're wondering what he's tweeting, the Cheech and Chong, I guess that's like a separate, I don't know how involved he is. But the latest tweet from this account, I just searched Cheech Marin, says, "This is your sign to smoke up." That was tweeted yesterday.
Very nice. That was a fun episode, but I know you guys are tired, so
I gotta take a shower. I got a class tomorrow.
Oh, review and rate us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, if you would. That would be so nice. You can email me, and eventually we'll make a podcast email at kendalkully@gmail.com, and our podcast Instagram is Paint on Canvas on Tape, and with little underscores in between all the words.
Those DMs will be so flattered.
Yeah, we would love that. So please reach out if you stay till the end. That'd be cool. Okay. Bye.
Bye.